will be full of darkness. Let me put it this way. Anybody here ever met somebody who is extremely generous who wasn't happy? No. Generous people are always happy because they're free from their stuff. And they love giving stuff away. And you have to be careful when you go to their house. Because you might say, hey man, it's a really cool shirt. And he says, oh cool, I got 2 of them. You want this one? And they make you feel really uncomfortable. But that's how generous people are. Consequently, have you ever met a stingy or a greedy person who was really happy? No. Never. Why? Because they have envious eyes and their whole life is full of darkness, and there's this constant irritation and agitation in their life that just drives them mad towards the acquisition of stuff. They're just not spending and quit asking me for stuff. Because their eyes are envious, and therefore their entire life is full of darkness. And when it comes to the world of possessions, the key is not to pray a magic prayer, click your heels together and spin around 3 times and everything is okay. It doesn't work that way. God says that you have to make a tough decision. Okay? You're going to have to strategically and if necessary be creative about where this goes so that you can change the direction of your heart. I mean, how many of you would love to just be liberated from your stuff? I do. My hand's up because I need it. I know I need to pry myself away from my stuff. Okay? Now, the way that this happens is by strategically determining where your stuff is going to go. Okay? The antidote for greed is to give stuff away and pre-decide your spending, all right? I'm not going to insult your intelligence. You all know how to give stuff away. In fact, some of you have a garage full of things that could go to Goodwill, and really all you need to do is hire a hauling guy to come help you move your stuff from your category to somebody else's category. It's just that simple. That's the easy part. But then we come to the pre-decide your spending, and here's where we get that irritation in our hearts because of the greed that's there. One way to pre-decide our spending is through percentage prioritized giving. Okay? Well, here's how this works. It's actually pretty simple. Let's say that you know, because if you're a Christian or if you're a Bible person or you kind of grew up in a Christian home, you know you're supposed to tithe. That's just a biblical command and that's just a part of our worldview. Okay? So let's say you know that this is true and you're supposed to tithe and you get a $2,000 paycheck. Well, you know tithing is 10% because that's what it means. That means you're immediately going to take a tenth of 2,000, which is 200, and right off the top of your check, you're going to move that from your kingdom to the kingdom of your place of worship. Okay? So that's easy. That's the 10%. But let's say that you really have it in your heart that you've been wanting to give towards this particular ministry, but you haven't because you just don't have the money immediately on hand, and so I just better not. But you've got this big paycheck, okay? So let's say you move that 10% and you want to give another 5%. Well, the way I look at it is half of 10% is 5%, so half of 200 is 100. That means right off the top of your paycheck, you move $300 out of your category into some other categories. That leaves you with $1,700, and guess what? You could probably still exist and pay your bills and buy your groceries on that money that's left over. Okay? So it's really not that hard. It's really as simple as choosing a percentage and then making it a priority and then making that happen. Another way to think about it is let's pretend that I have a pot. And you're new to my neighborhood, so I visit you and have you over to my house. I have all my friends over to my house, but I decide that I'm going to feed my friends first. Well, what's going to inevitably happen? I'm going to get down to your piece, and it's probably not going to be there, or all that's going to be left is crumbs, because I gave what should have gone to you first to all these other people, and you kind of just got leftovers. However, if I did it differently, and I cut out your piece first, and gave that to you, and then divvied up the rest of the pie to everybody else, guess what? Everybody gets fed. And you know what? This is not about your money. This is about your heart. It's about deciding that you're going to break the power of greed, that I'm going to break the power of greed in my life. Teens, if you have a job, I beg you and I plead with you, break the power of greed in your life now and start tithing. As far as I can read in the Bible, there's no age of accountability for tithing. It's basically, if you work, you tithe. Okay? Remember, it's not about your money. It's about breaking this power of greed that's in your heart and starting a godly discipline young. Because guess what? When you're almost 40 and you're just starting to learn how to tithe and life is really complicated because of children and stuff like that and education, it's going to be hard to start that discipline later on. But if you start it now when really all you have to spend your money on is your life, you'll be so thankful later on. Okay, and again, it's not about money, it's about the heart. If you want to see God clear your heart of everything that puts darkness into your life, you've got to start thinking about in dealing with greed. You have to become a decisive. I have to become a decisive giver. I've got to stop this endless hoarding, shop till I drop. If I just don't have instant fisher, then I'm going to die kind of a lifestyle. Because life is so much more important than the little trinkets that I own. In fact, I triple dog dare you to pick a percentage and start giving it. There is nobody on the earth who has become a more generous person who looks back and says, man, my life was so much better when I was greedy. It just doesn't work that way. And it's not about the money. It's really not about the percentage. It's about the place that your heart is, okay? All right. Now listen, here's another thought to think about. I never worry about the money that I've given away. Because as soon as I gave it away, it was outside of my realm of responsibility. The only money I worry about is the money that I think I control. Okay? So when you start giving your stuff and putting your money in another kingdom, it changes everything because you don't have to worry about that stuff. And guess what happens to your lifestyle? It drops. And now your priorities are in place because you just don't have that percentage of greed in your life anymore. You've already moved it. And so it saves you if you do it off the top of the paycheck, not off the bottom of the paycheck. All right? Now, if you're feeling frustrated right now by what I just said, it's because you're greedy. I'm talking to me too, okay? I'm just sorry, I'll never preach again. Sorry. All right. In all honesty, I know that you want to have a pure heart, and I want to have a pure heart as well. And I know that you want to do and be and allow God to do anything He can in your life and through your life. But it doesn't come just as easy as saying, I feel like I should change, okay? Because we have a decision. We can actually choose to move in a different direction, or we can just think about it, and everything just stays the same. So it really comes down to a choice. There's no magic prayer. I suppose if I said, who wanted to stop being greedy, we'd all raise our hands, we'd all pray a prayer, we'd cry, but nothing would change unless we actually did something. And I'm talking to myself here as well, okay? The average American only gives 2% of their income away to charity, and it's the exact same in the Christian church, which is pathetic. Because we already know that we're at least supposed to think about that 10%. But we just don't. But you and I have the potential, and now we have the tool and the insight to actually start moving our hearts in a different direction by redirecting the stuff that we own and our finances. All right? My heart for you and my heart for myself is to be as free in every area possible in my life. But I know for me, it has to start somewhere, and my life is built around my stuff. Okay? And I know that I've got to break that pattern. I just have to break it, start giving stuff away. All right? So here's the thought you have to go home with. All right? Here it is. Reallocating assets relocates your heart. Reallocating assets relocates your heart. What a powerful, powerful, powerful principle. So, let's go back in time a couple weeks. If you want to get rid of guilt in your life, make that confession that you know that you need to make and remove guilt from getting lodged in your heart. If you want to get rid of envy and jealousy in your life, start celebrating other people and stop thinking about yourselves. If you want to remove greed from your life, pre-decide your spending and start giving stuff away. Are you with me? Yeah. All right, let's pray. And I'm going fishing. Thank you, Jesus, so much for your powerful, powerful message. Lord, sometimes your words are hard to hear, especially when things just grip us so tightly. And there's nothing more sensitive and delicate to talk about than our finances and our possessions. And so, Lord, if any of us here are dealing with this, I know that I'm dealing with it, I pray that you would give me personally the guts to make that hard decision to start allowing you to scrape that stuff out of my heart. I don't want to feel guilty anymore. I don't want to have envy. And I really don't want to be greedy because I don't want my whole life to be full of darkness. But I can see certain areas where my life is full of darkness. So please help me and help us as a church to change where we're going by changing where we're sending our stuff. Thank you for being here with us. In Jesus' name, amen. See you guys next week.